பப்ளிஷிங் அதில் வந்து ரொம்ப அதிக அனுபவம் உடையவர். அவருடைய தந்தையும் சட்ட புத்தகத்தை வந்து பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணுறதுல அவங்களும் இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ மாண்புமிகு நீதிபதி அவர்கள் சட்ட இதழ் வெளியீட்டிலையும் அவங்க வந்து ஈடுபட்டிருக்காங்க. இந்த புத்தகத்தில் மேலும் இந்த புத்தகத்தோட சிறப்பான ஒரு விஷயம் என்னன்னா, இந்த புத்தகத்தோட அணிந்துரை ஃபோர்வேர்டு, அந்த ஃபோர்வேர்டை மாண்புமிகு நீதியரசர் மாண்புமிகு எஸ் வைத்தியநாதன் அவர்கள் ஃபோர்வேர்டு எழுதியிருக்காங்க. அவர்களையும் சென்டர் ஃபார் சவுத் இந்தியன் ஸ்டடீஸ் சார்பாக வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்கிறோம். காஜுரு லக்ஷ்மி நரசு செட்டி அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போதே உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும், ஒரு தமிழ் இல்லையே அப்படின்னு. பரவாயில்ல, சென்னை மாகாணன்றது அந்த டைமில் சவுத் இந்தியா முழுக்க தான் சென்னை மாகாணம், சென்னை பிரசிடென்சி, மெட்ராஸ் பிரசிடென்சி அப்படின்றது. அதனால் அவருக்கு பெருமை சேர்க்கணுன்றதுக்காக அந்த சமுதாயத்தை சேர்ந்த தெலகா, பலிஜா, காப்பு கம்யூனிட்டி, அந்த ஒட்டுமொத்தத்தையும் பாதுகாக்கக்கூடிய தென்னிந்தியாவோட ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளராக இருக்கக்கூடிய தாசரி ராமு அவங்க வந்திருக்காங்க. அவர்களும் இந்த புத்தக வெளியீட்டாளருக்கு சிறப்பு விருந்தினராக வந்திருக்காங்க. அவர்களையும் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்கிறோம். மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமர் கூறியபடி அறியப்படாத சுதந்திர போராட்ட வீரர்களை பற்றின வரலாறு எடுக்கணும். சரி, நாமளும் ஏதாவது அதில் ஒரு பங்கு இருக்கணும் இல்லையா? அதனால சென்டர் ஃபார் சவுத் இந்தியன் ஸ்டடீஸ் அப்படிப்பட்ட நபரை தேடிட்டு இருந்தோம். அப்போதான் எங்களுக்கு தேடிட்டு இருக்கும்போது சமநீதிக்காக குரல் கொடுத்த ஒருத்தர் சென்னையில் இருந்தார். அவர் யாரு அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது இந்த படத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய காஜுரு லக்ஷ்மி நரசு செட்டி, அவர் சமநீதிக்காக குரல் கொடுத்தாரு அப்படின்னு எங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் விவரம் தெரிஞ்சது. இந்த பணியை வந்து யாரை வச்சு பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நாங்கள் தேடிட்டு இருந்தோம். அந்த மாதிரி தேடிட்டு இருக்கும்போது சென்னையில் ஹைகோர்ட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய வழக்கறிஞர் ஒருவர், அவரை வந்து இந்த சமநீதிக்காக நம்ம வழக்குக்கு ஒருத்தர் தேவைப்படுது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அவரை தேடிட்டு இருந்தார். அவருக்கும் இந்த படத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய காஜுரு லக்ஷ்மி நரசு பற்றி கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கு. கடவுள் அருளால சென்டர் ஃபார் சவுத் இந்தியன் ஸ்டடீஸும் அவரும் இணைந்து கடந்த 1.5 வருஷமாக இதற்கான ரிசர்ச் பண்ணி இப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு அருமையான புத்தகத்தை தயார் பண்ணியிருக்கூடிய இந்த புத்தகத்தோடைய ஆசிரியர் திரு பா ஜெகநாத் அவர்களை வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்கிறேன். மேலும் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு வருகை தந்துள்ள ஓய்வு பெற்ற தற்போது இருக்கக்கூடிய நீதிபதிகள், பல முன்னணி வழக்குரைஞர்கள், தொழிலதிபர்கள், பெரியோர்கள், தாய்மார்கள், பத்திரிகை நிருபர்கள், அவர்கள் அனைவரையும் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்கிறேன். வணக்கம்.
Thank you, sir. It's time to honor our dignitaries on the dais. May I request Shri Sandeep Kumar, Director of Center for South Indian Studies, to kindly felicitate the Honorable Governor. Please, Mr. Sandeep Kumar. I humbly request our Governor to felicitate Shri S. Vaidyanathan, Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court. Now Shri Dasari Ramu will receive the felicitation from the Honorable Governor. M. Kumaresan of the Center for South Indian Studies, Chennai, will now receive the felicitation from the Honorable Governor. He was the key person for translating this book in Tamil. And finally, B. Jagannath, the author of the book, will receive the felicitation from the Honorable Governor along with his blessings for this extraordinary work. Thank you, His Excellency, for the kind gesture. Gifts is associated by Jumbo Chocolate Company. Now, I request B. Jagannath, the author, to give us an account of his book, The First Native Voice of Madras, Gazulu Lakshmi Narasu Chetty.
Your Excellency, Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri R.N. Raviji, Honorable Sir Justice Vaidyanathan, the Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court, Sri Dasari Ramu, Sri Kumaresanji, Sandeepji of Center for South Indian Studies, and also I would like to thank at this point of time Sri T.S. Krishnan, who is not present here but who has been kind enough to give us the foreword for the book. He is a great grandson of Subramanya Siva. I will also at this point of time would like to thank Sri Ravi, who is the former chief editor of the Hindu publication group of companies, and never the least, my senior Sri R. Muthukumar Sami, who is not here with me today at this point of time. Without his blessings, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you. So at this point of time, I would like to remember him and all the judges and my senior Mr. Jeenasen, who is also present over here, and my dear parents and my beloved family, and my advocate friends, my dear well-wishers who have come here in large numbers. Thank you so much for coming here in large numbers. With regard to the book, I would like to start by stating that we have taken research from the Tamil Nadu archives through the Right to Information Act. We have taken research from the British Library in London. We have also taken research from the Imperial Library, which is now called as the National Library in Calcutta. And we have also taken research from the Kannimara Library, which is in Egmore. Now, with regard to this honorable gentleman whom we have over here, whom we are celebrating today, our freedom fighter, Gazuru Lakshmi Narasu Chetty, I would like to just start by stating that not many people in Tamil Nadu know about him because it has been a systematic effort to erase and completely eradicate the person's existence from our memory. Now, if you see the date, these dates are very important. On 11th of November 1839, there was a petition which was drawn by nearly about 70,000 inhabitants who are native Indians, which included Hindus, which included Muslims, which included the limited number of Parsis who were in Madras at that point of time. That petition, that scroll is even now available today in the India Office records in the British Library in London. And that petition had about 70,000 signatures. It was addressed to Lord Elphinstone. It asked for 5 things. Number 1, better representation for us Indians in government jobs, and most importantly with regard to education. Number 2, the pledge of religious neutrality when it comes to native education in Madras. Number 3, the most important thing, is with regard to elimination of any kind of proselytization or any other attempts of that sort when it comes to education in Madras. Number 4 was to give us better facilities, because we didn't have at that point of time better educational facilities. So they requested the government at that point of time, the British government, to give us better educational facilities. Point number 5 was to ensure that we as natives get our own individual identity so far as the native education is concerned. What happened after that was Lord Elphinstone, the then governor at that point of time, responded, and 3 things happened. Number 1, the will of Pachayappa till then was not probated. It was then probated, and the Pachayappa institution, as we know right now, which is a beacon of hope for the native people at that point of time was inaugurated. Number two, we had what we know right now today as Madras University. Next time if anybody says to you that Madras University was as a result of the benevolence of the British, it is wrong, because it was as a result of the 70,000 signatures which was given by our native people. I have documentary evidence for that. We have stated that in the book, which was given to us through an email from Steve Trevana, if I've got his name correct, Scott Trevana Connors, who is a history professor in University of Cambridge. Point number 4, in addition to all of these things, we as natives were for the first time allowed to establish our own native institutions to have English education. Pachepa High School at that point of time was started as a beacon of hope, and we know today the Pachepa Charities is there right now. After this, what happened was in 1844, Gazaru Lakshmi Narsalu Chetty was at the pioneer, because he was born to a very rich and wealthy family. His father Sidhulu Chetty was the founding native member of the Madras Chamber of Commerce, along with Bidni, Arbuthnot, and the directors of the Madras Bank. He was one of the most wealthiest Indians at that point of time. In 1844, in October, he started something which was revolutionary and far ahead of his time, which was the Madras Crescent newspaper and the Hindu press. Rightly so, he has to be acknowledged and revered as the father of printing press and newspapers in Madras. It was in 1844 when he had launched this, and we have documentary evidence which we have taken from the archives of 1848, where there's a letter from the Postmaster General which is sent to the Chief Secretary, where we can see the circulation of the Madras Crescent newspaper is 10,500. Imagine this for a moment. There is no electricity, there is no telephone, there is no telegraph, there is no computer, no email, no WhatsApp, nothing. At that point of time, in 1848, to have a circulation of an English newspaper with more than about 10,500 is no mean joke. So that is what this person whom we see over here in the portrait, this great son of Bharat, has done. That is why we have kept the book's name, The First Native Voice of Madras. What happened after that was the the Christian missionaries at the point of time. I'm talking about the British Christian missionaries, not the Indian Christian missionaries. The British Christian missionaries at the point of time, along with the government at that point of time, the governor at that point of time was Marquis of Tweedledale. They had a tacit agreement, and they did something which was enormous, which was to introduce Bible as a mandatory curriculum in all government and government-aided schools in Madras. On 7th of October 1846, there was a huge meeting which was presided over by Gazaru Lakshmi Narsalu Chetty, and the signatures alone were 12,000 signatures. The matter was debated in the it was sent to the House of Commons in England. The matter was debated in the House of Commons, and after much protest and so much of memorials being sent to the House of Commons, Marquis of Tweedledale had dropped the idea of introducing Bible as a mandatory curriculum. At this point of time, there was one English gentleman who was there called as Henry Chamiers. We all must have known the Chamiers Road, which we have over here in Madras. Henry Chamiers was a member in the governing council. His father was the chief secretary of Madras. He wrote 3 dissenting minutes against the governor, stating that the natives of this country deserve better education minus this superimposition of religion. We have a pledge to maintain religious neutrality, and we have to do that, is what Henry Chamiers wrote. After that, seeing what all was happening in Madras, Gazaru Lakshmi Narsalu Chetty, following the footsteps of the British Indian Association, on 26th of February 1852, had started something which was a very revolutionary thing at that point of time, which was a first political movement in the history of Madras, the first organized political movement in the history of Madras. It is called the Madras Native Association. The Madras Native Association, immediately upon its formation, sent various memorandums, various representations. In tens and thousands of signatures were collected. It had a membership of beyond 10,000. The political arm was called Madras Native Association, and the publication arm was the Crescent. Gazaru Lakshmi Narsalu Chetty emerged as a beacon of hope for us natives. He was the voice of the natives to fight for us in a democratic, non-violent, participatory manner, and his memorials reached Great Britain. In 1853, something terrible happened. There were reports, widespread reports in Madras which were documented and which were sent to London. Those reports consisted of a series of information, documentary evidence, which highlighted that torture was used as a method to collect and extract revenue from us natives. That's right, torture was used as a method to collect revenue from us natives. 15,000 signatures were sent in 1853 to London, and this matter was debated in the House of Commons. Henry Danby Seymour, a member of Parliament at House of Commons, we had Lord Albemarle and Sir Blackett, who were all members of Parliament in the House of Commons. They debated this issue with regard to collection of tax and with regard to employing torture as a method for collection of tax. This matter was put to vote. The House was divided for the first time in 8 years, and after that, the British government was forced to respond by appointing something for the first time in the history of their governance in India, called as the Royal Enquiry Commission on Torture. Never have we seen any of these things appear in our history books. I have not seen. I have studied history in my schools, but I have not seen any of these things in my history book, at least in the history which was taught to me. With regard to the Torture Commission, when it was established, it was headed by John Bruce Norton, Sir Walter Elliot, and it was also headed by the governor at that point of time, Mr. Harris, Lord Harris as we call him. In 1853, the moment the Torture Commission was established, notices were sent and information was sought for from us native people. More than 5,000 representations were sent with documentary evidence, with enough testimonials to the Torture Commission and its members. The members, even though they were British, they decided that what the British authorities did was completely wrong. It was then that they created certain recommendations and they submitted the report and they sent it to the House of Commons. 5 of those recommendations, very important recommendations, are: number 1, police and revenue will be 2 separate arms, because till then police and revenue were together as a single unit. So police and revenue will be divided, it will be 2 separate arms. Number 2, you will not have torture employed as a method to collect revenue from the natives of this country. Number 3, there will be better representation for us Indians in the government jobs. Number 4 is that the respect that was due to us Indians has to be given in the proper, reasonable manner. And number 5, those British officials and the native officials who had collided and who had done this form of torture against the natives, they were named and they were brought to task. This report was sent to the House of Commons, and House of Commons immediately decided to accept the report in full. After that, immediately, the report had been accepted by Queen Victoria, and this was achieved only because of one person. It was because of Gazalu Lakshmi Narsalu Chetty. Because those memorials were given by Madras Native Association. Due to paucity of time, I will have to cut short my speech. And I would like to say that with a lot of hard work, despite a lot of adversities, despite a lot of tough challenges, we have done good research. And I would like all of you to please purchase my book. It is only 200 rupees. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to address you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jagannath. May I now request Shri Justice S. Vaidyanathan, Honorable Chief Justice, Meghalaya High Court, our esteemed guest of honor, to address the gathering.
His Excellency, Governor of Tamil Nadu,
my dear friends on the dais and off the dais, a fine evening to all. I have immense pleasure to participate in this book release function. I congratulate Mr. Jagannath for having authored the book, The First Native Voice of Madras, Gasulu Lakshmi Narasu Chetty. First of all, let me tell you that a book which helps us to develop our knowledge and transports us into a different world is a real treasure. What cannot be explained by a human mind can be taught by a book that must be preserved like a valuable ornament. A voracious reader of books will generally be strong enough in speaking languages fluently and communicating to others spontaneously without any hesitation. A book is the best companion for self-learners to receive more and more information on all issues and topics. According to me, an ornament alone is not a treasure, but a library consisting of good books is also considered to be a treasure trove which is inexhaustible. Whenever negative thoughts haunt our mind, reading a good book gives us peace, consolation, and moral support. A book is always our finest guide and also an inspirational and moral supporter. As outlined by George Martin, an American novelist and a short story writer, a reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only once. A joy of reading books cannot be described in words. It is something that one can understand only by actual experience. Irrespective of the subject matter, books have the significant role and power to induce our imagination, evoke emotion, and broaden our perspectives. When one spends hours and hours reading a book, creating a world with different characters in his mind, his imagination powers are sure to get a boost. Upon reading books, one will never get bored, even being alone for a long time. Reading books is the best medicine to kill boredom. It makes one understand his thoughts and emotions more clearly. It makes one realize who he really is and makes his life more meaningful. It will make one a better thinker and a better man. Insofar as the work of Mr. Jagannath is concerned, though he is an advocate by profession, he has not limited his skill only in advocacy and merely appearing before the court, but toiled to write a book on hidden figure in the society like Gasulu Chetty. I am aware that writing a book and composing the same is not an easy job. Just writing a book will not serve any purpose, and the character being introduced by the author must be packed with sufficient information so that the reader can easily visualize that person. Such an attempt could be achieved by providing detailed descriptions of the character's traits. The book that is released today is a book on Gasulu Lakshmi Narasu Chetty, who, being a freedom fighter, was the first Indian in a Madras presidency to establish, own, run a printing press as found by the author himself through various historical documents. I really congratulate Mr. Jagannath for bringing out a fine portrait in the memory and honor of Gasulu Chetty. Due to paucity of time, I have not gone through the entire book. In Tamil, there is a proverb that "Oru paanai sothirkku oru soru padam," which means that to test whether the rice in a pot is cooked properly, it is enough to test the single rice for the desired level of cooking. Likewise, I peruse few chapters of the book, namely Regime of Torture, Testaments of Torture, Honorable G.N. Chetty, and the like. The book vividly describes about the torture prevalent during the regime of British for non-payment of
rent or taxes through historical documents, and also the significant role played by Ghazulu Chetty in bringing out the torture to the notice of Queen Elizabeth. In honoring Ghazulu Chetty, who opposed unbridled consumerism like Mahatma Gandhi, he was appointed as a member of the Council of Fort St. George in Madras in the year 1864 by Her Majesty Queen Victoria for his contribution towards governmental affairs, which is evident from the chapter of the book Honorable G.L.N. Chetty. The author has also annexed a scanned copy of the letter appointing Ghazulu Chetty as a nominated member of the Legislative Council of Madras Presidency to strengthen his area of research. In addition to the above nomination, Ghazulu Chetty adorned several positions like Director of Madras Cotton Cleaning Company, Non-Official Commissioner of Income Tax Department of Madras, and the first native member of Madras Chamber of Commerce. That apart, Ghazulu Chetty also started yet another revolutionary newspaper, the Carnatic Telegraph and Exchange Gazette, besides running a company called Sidlu Chetty and Company. Ghazulu Chetty's patriotism and his commitment for development of the motherland and its citizens was instrumental in changing the policies and systems by the British government, such as Constitution of Torture Inquiry Commission, a demand for a separate police force in India, and so on. The author of the book, Mr. Jagannath, with utmost care and caution, carved each and every line with sufficient material proof so as not to give any room for criticism and without twisting the historical truth. But for him, the Ghazulu Chetty would have become a forgotten fighter in the early history of Indian independence. The names of unsung heroes like Ghazulu Chetty should not be left unremembered. It is time that we at least have them in our consciousness, if not in our books. I want to specifically emphasize that to err is human, to forgive is divine. In case a reader notices an error or mistake, it can politely be pointed out to the author of the book privately so as to enable him to rectify the same in the next edition instead of making an open accusation on the error. In fine, I urge Mr. Jagannath to continue his service in the art of writing more books on the concealed figures, facilitating even a layman to remember the sacrifice. I pray God to give him more strength and good health to carry on with his work tirelessly. And thank him and the organizers for having invited me to this book release function. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. It's time for His Excellency, the Honorable Governor, to release the book. His Excellency, Honorable Governor, sir, we kindly request you to release the book, The First Native Voice of Madras, Ghazulu Lakshmi Narasu Chetty, authored by B. Jagannath. Our Honorable Governor will hand over to all the dignitaries on the dais the respective copies of the book. The English version of the book is received by the Chief Justice Sri S. Vaidyanathan. It's the English version. The Tamil version is being received by M. Kumaresan, and the Telugu version is being received by Sri Dasari Ramu. This book is simultaneously received in English, Tamil and Telugu, and the major part is His Excellency, the Honorable Governor, has released the bigger version of the book with all the reference materials and the research work. Our Honorable Governor has also decided to give this book free to the society for enhancing research and promoting more authors to study and know about our freedom fighters and their sacrifices to the nation. We are glad to inform the gathering that educational institutions research institutions, libraries, and authors can log in and register for their free copy of this big book. It is being presented by the Honorable Governor himself to the society. It has all the references and the research work. And those who want to get it, the institutions, we are given a card, you can log in and get it. I solicit your standing ovation for this great gesture of our Honorable Governor on this occasion to felicitate freedom fighters and promote national unity through literary works. Thank you, sir. It's time now to felicitate the persons who have contributed to the book. I request J.S. Vishnu Hariram, Dr. Vishnu Achyuta Menon. Please come to the rise. J.S. Vishnu Hariram. He is receiving the memento from the Honorable Governor. These persons have worked for the book, done the research work, compiled the details, got it both in India and England. Dr. Vishnu Achyuta Menon. Please, Vishnu Achyuta Menon. Yashwant Srinivasamurthy. He is a student of law. Asir Wilson and Setu Raman. And Srimati Durga Devi Kumaresan. And on this occasion, we have a special mention about the help extended by Maureen Hart of British Library India Records Office, London, Scott Travanor Connors, History Department, University of Cambridge, and the staff of D section of Tamil Nadu Archives and Historical Research Office, Egmore. May I now request our most respected Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri R.N. Ravi ji, the chief guest of this evening function, to address the gathering. Please, Shriman.
Most respected Justice S. Vaidyanathan, the Honorable Chief Justice, Meghalaya High Court, respected Thiru D. Ram Mohan Rao, Thiru B. Jagannath, Thiru M. Kumaresan, all the distinguished invitees present here, eminent scholars, fellows of Center for South Indian Studies, friends from the media. At the very outset, I, on behalf of my brothers and sisters of Tamil Nadu, and indeed the whole nation, pay my heartfelt, humble tribute to the great martyr Vanchinathan. A young man at the age of 25, coming from a modest family, nothing to lose. He was not a person endowed with rich inheritance which British could have grabbed, nothing. All that he had to share was his poverty. But yet, he could not bear the atrocities of the British. And you know, in Tirunelveli, the place where that was the epicenter of the beginning of atrocities. The first British military camp was established near Tirunelveli, Palayamkottai. Even in 1806, Vellore rebellion, most of the troops were from Tirunelveli because they were carrying the scars. And this young, great person could not bear the suffering of his people at the hand of atrocious foreigner. And so, he assassinated the district collector who represented the empire, the British Empire, imperial. Of course, at the time, it was company. Friends, yesterday, in our state, in hundreds of colleges, we celebrated Jambudvip Pragadanam. Because great Mardu Pandyas, not only brave warriors, but great visionary, who revealed that a strategic document, Jambudvip Pragadanam, giving a call not only to the rulers, numerous, but to the people of all communities, people of Bharat, to the Indians who were serving in the British military, Subedar, Jamadar, Havaldar, Naibs, urge them all to eliminate these wretches, Europeans, wherever they are. Unitedly fight, liberate this motherland. They were martyred on 24th of October. That is the martyrdom day we will observe. But yesterday was that visionary revelation of the visionary document, and we observed it all over the state. Friends, here the tragic story is that a calculated game is being played on our memory. Memory to forget things, forget the history, forget who we were, who were our forefathers, what all they did, what all they suffered. For us to breathe this air of independence and create a fictitious narrative, and in the process causing an cultural genocide, destroying the identity of our people, their culture, their history. Advocate Jagannathan said he read something in the history he could not read as far as he is concerned. I say with confidence, as a chancellor I have reviewed this curriculum of all the universities in my state. There is near blackout of national freedom movement. In fact, the last 200 years of history of this place, the history of the people of this place, the 19th century and the 20th century. The 19th century is only a glorification of the British. They gave us this, they gave us that. And 20th century is a legacy of carrying on a fabricated fake ideology. When the Center of South Indian Studies, they took up the project, and Advocate Jagannath, he produced the book. Unlike Justice Vedyanathan, I can claim I have read from page to page. And I tell you, this book is so rich in material, so rich in evidence, that I can confidently say that this book is highly, highly condensed. Actually, this book carries the seeds for multiple books where it has to be elaborated. The atrocities that the British committed on our people and how our people responded. In our whole country, whole Bharat, all over, British could not capture 1 inch of the territory without fight. People fought, gave their life. Here, yesterday while we were observing this Jambudvip Pragadanam Divas, we talked about Battle of Panchalan Kurichi, 1798 to 1801, 3 years. What a fight. Thousands of our people gave life. Is the story all over the country. But what happened here was something far more insidious, far more sinister. You know that when the company, the East India Company, began capturing the territory, beginning the Battle of Plassey in mid-18th century. And by 1765, when they got the right of Diwani, the taxation, that means Bengal was de facto under the company control. Technically, it was still with the Mughals. And at that point of time, Robert Clive, who was the governor of Bengal, he wrote to the company headquarters that we are a trading company. Our USP, our competence lies in trade. Now we are capturing territory. Administration is not our forte. We don't know how to do it. So he suggested that British government should take over. The matter was hotly debated. And eventually, they came to a conclusion. And largely based on a report by the advisor to the colonial affairs, advisor to the British government on colonial affairs. Because British had begun the experience of colonizing. They had colonized North America. They had colonized some other territory in the world. So they had the experience. They had an office of advisor to the colonial affairs. and University of Edinburgh was their associate, and Professor Adam Ferguson was the advisor. Eventually, his report that was accepted by the government, where he says that our experience of colonization or colonizing North America and other places cannot be replicated in India. Because what they did in other places, was North America, Australia and other, they annihilated the indigenous population. And they settled, they captured and got established. Adam Ferguson said it is not possible in India. Not possible in India because, first of all, it's large population. You cannot annihilate this population. And the most important point that he mentioned, or he brought the attention of the British government, was this country, though ruled by numerous rulers, at the level of society, the country is united. If you do something in one part, there will be reaction in some other part. And we know it happened. Take, for example, 1905, when the British partitioned Bengal on communal line. It was a partition of Bengal. But the fire broke out here in this land. It was that partition that provoked great V.O. Chidambaram Pillai to join the freedom movement. Lot many people came on the street. It is not acceptable. They could have kept quiet. Something happening in Bengal, why should they bother about it? No. What Ferguson said was right. That though there were numerous rulers and kings, the people at the level of society, Samaj, there was unity. And that would, action at one point will have reaction all over. So you cannot replicate the model of colonization which you have had elsewhere. On India it is not possible. And then he said that what should be the objective of the British Empire? And further, before that he said, since you cannot replicate the experiment, so what should be the objective of the British Empire? The empire's objective should be transfer of, it is their word, it's not my word, transfer of as much wealth as speedily as possible from India to England. Number one. Number two, make the empire as enduring as possible. And then he said, for transfer of wealth as speedily as possible, you may have to bend or break the rules. If the crown takes over, the servants of the crown will keep quoting rules, regulations. We all know how our officials do that. It is not, it will create a problem. Let it be done by the company. Make them do it, you look the other way. And that is when they constituted the first body, they called it Board of Control, comprising commissioners for the affairs of India. And the first president of that was Henry Dundas, very close to the British Prime Minister. And they started running the company from behind. And then to make the empire as enduring as possible. How do you make the empire as enduring as possible? And there they came to the conclusion that they have to change the cultural DNA of this country. Their history has to be changed. People must be made to forget who they are or who they were. They started concocting fabricated history of this place. They conducted detailed study of indigenous education system. And here, in Madras Presidency, at the time, Munro was the Governor General. in June, 25th of June, 1822. He sent a letters to all the district collectors in the presidency, in Madras presidency, to collect the details of native education system. And the form that he prescribed was pretty elaborate. Taluk-wise. How many schools? How many institutions of higher education? They called it colleges. Students. Community to which the students belong. Male, female, teachers. The cost of education, the students, how much they had to pay. Teachers, the salary of the teachers. A detailed, exhaustive study. And the collectors did a faithful job. They gave their report. The reports are here in archives for anyone to see. And you read it. What a robust education system that we had. I give you an illustration. North Arcot district. Within a year, all the collectors submitted their reports. North Arcot district, William Cook was the collector. On 3rd of March 1823, within 9 months, he submitted the report, taluk-wise. And you know, the data that comes out is voluminous data. There were 630 schools and 69 institutions of higher learning, which they called colleges, in North Arcot district. As students, as they said, come. Those days there was no such caste consciousness, by the way. Even if you read the Jambudvip Pragadanam, Mardhu Pandyars, they have mentioned Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra and Musalman. All unite. There was no caste. And in this survey, since I am giving you the detail of North Arcot, William Cook's report, in the 630 schools and 69 colleges, there were 1,117 Brahmins, 630 Vaishya, and 4,888 Sudras. The notion that Sudras were not participating in education, all that you need to do is get into their records. We have become intellectually lazy. All these are records I am not getting from, I don't have a magic wand or figure. I have dived the archive. These are reports available. Female. Of course, the number of female were less. But it was across the community. There were girl students studying. Fees of the students' fees. No fees were charged. Because Vidya Dan was not considered a commercial activity. So students were not to pay any fees. Nor teachers were paid any salary. Teachers were only given the subsistence. They lived, their needs were met. These institutions were supported by the community assets, essentially the land. And at that point of time in Madras Presidency, 35% of the land was community land. So the entire source of revenue to run these educational institutions, where students could come and study, they could have meals, and along with that, there were other institutions also, institutions where the travelers could come and stay and walk, the pilgrims could come and take rest for a couple of days. Their meals have to be met. All these were supported by this community land. That community land was the source to sustain the education system. So what Munro did, the 35% land, which was exempt from taxation until then because community land, he promptly reduced to 5%. 30% of land was brought under taxation, only 5% was left. Educational institutions by 1823 onward, they withered for want of fund. They all died one after another. What were the subjects which were taught? Subjects taught were Vedas, other epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Ganitam, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, Vaidya, music, dance, comprehensive medium of teaching. In schools, native language. Tamil, Tamil area, Telugu, Telugu area, Kannada, Kannada area, Malayalam, Malayalam area. In higher education, one of the two. Two of them. Tamil, Sanskrit. Telugu, Sanskrit. Kannada, Sanskrit. Malayalam, Sanskrit. This was the language of teaching in higher education. Systematically, all were destroyed, all were killed. And alternative system created by the British that came up. We all know that India Charter Act 1813 had mandated the British government to direct the company to evangelize India. And that is under that project, they started bringing what they call it SPG, Society for Promotion of Gospel. They came and they started massive conversion. They made it compulsory. One thing which Jagannath did not elaborate, I don't know what compelled him. In the letter of November 1839, please don't compel us to give up the religion which our forefathers have been practicing for thousands of years for getting admission in your school. The core issue was that, because they had made it compulsory, that for admission, native schools, native colleges were closed. Is admission here? You have to change your faith. Society was bubbling with anger, seething with anger. It was in that backdrop that a great man, Ghazalur Lakshmi Arasuchetti, he came up. And he took this initiative, organizing the people, creating unity among them, articulating the organized voice, publishing the Madras Crescent, so that the message reaches out to a large number of people. He did phenomenal work. Forgetting him is a sin. We cannot forget him and people like him. But friends, also, this entire 19th century is like black box. Hardly any work has been done. That was the period of ferment. When the British started all these atrocities, having taken the lands, heavy taxation, farmers were suffering acute distress, people were giving up their farming, migrating to places here and there. Schools were closed, educational institutions were closed. Conversion was at the peak, forced conversion. It was in that backdrop that society responded. How did they respond? A few illustrations. I am not an expert. I only got to a few cases, but I leave it to the people here to do that, to experts here, to students and scholars to do the research. It was in that backdrop that great people emerged, like Vallalar, Ayya Vaikuntha. All these people started the movement to save the society in their own way. They started also educational institutions, parallel education institutions. Vallalar started a number of education institutions where he made Tamil, Sanskrit and English 3 subjects. Today, of course, Sanskrit is banished from all the universities, all the state universities. There is hardly any Sanskrit. The department exists only on paper. This 19th century was the period of maximum suppression, maximum oppression. Another thing, which is completely unresearched, not talked about. Several hundred thousands of our people were forcibly taken from our land, largely from South Tamil Nadu, as slaves, as indentured laborers to work in British colony in Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Burma, Mauritius, Fiji, through inducement, intimidation, coercion, kidnapping. There was slave market. Something like this happened also in the northern part. When the British discovered the tea in Assam, they wanted laborers. That was not the time when we had mechanized economy. Human labor, animal labor, these were the things, assets. These were the capital for the production. And when they found it, they took 500,000, over 5 lakhs Adivasis from central India, what is today Jharkhand, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Took them again as slaves. And when they started taking, I don't know how many of you have read Alex Haley, The Root. That is when the colonizers in America started taking the slaves from Africa. It was worse than that. But the slave trade to the northeast of India, Assam, is documented. How the people were taken through all this inducement, coercion, kidnapping, false promises, trapped, and how they were intermediaries, labor sardars. And how the labor hards where you sell vegetables, they used to sell labor. And the people used to be paraded on this platform, stripped naked, and the buyers used to look in the teeth and the body whether the person is healthy and put the price. This is how our people were treated, and this is how our people from this land were treated when they were taken to the British colony. Why have we not studied it? We call it migration. What a wonderful term. Why do you have to call it? Why don't we accept it fact? It was forced slave trade. This again happened in 19th century. These are areas which we have not studied. And what happened in 20th century is nothing but a continuation of the 19th century. In other names. I was going through the curriculum syllabus of my universities, history, political science, literature. I find in the 20th century, activities, how the movement has started, Dravid movement has started, all those things, anti-Brahmin movement has started. But the truth is, which we have forgotten, is this was a continuation of what was happening in 19th century. Because when the British destroyed the education, they not only destroyed the institutions, but their targets were the teachers. And teachers were mostly Brahmins. They were the one who were targeted. And there are a number of stories, a number of, not only stories, documents. It was an outright persecution by the British, because it has been the tradition, because through long time in our civilizations, as we know, the Vidya Dan is not a commercial activity. It is not a transaction. It is something called punya. So the teachers were not paid. And by tradition, by our dharmic injunctions, Brahmins were poor people. They were not people with wealth. But they had the knowledge. They used to teach. Our Shastra says, Veda says, Vayam Rashtre Jagriyam Purohita. Purohita, lead the way. And wake up, they keep the nation alive, Rashtra alive. This was the job that they were doing. And so they were the target. That they are the guys who will create a problem. Systematically targeted. And then came people like the hordes of people like Bishop Caldwell and all, who started creating a fake history of racial theory. I have said it on some other platform. This man was a school dropout. He could not even pass his school education. Somebody said that he got his doctorate. I said, well, you got hundreds of doctorate honorary. It is not I like to say his thesis. And if you say that the grammar of Dravidian language is a thesis, it is a bunkum, it is a nonsense. It cannot be a thesis. He was made a philologist by vested interest. And that became the document to create the racial divide in our country. And so here are people, some people, those who have been the beneficiary of this. And this is what they continue. When the 20th century came and the national consciousness started consolidating, what the British did, they used the religion in the north and race in the south. In the name of religion, they started promoting the Muslim League to break or weaken the national freedom movement. Here in Madras, they used racial divide. And they used their collaborators, the handpicked people, to carry it forward. So what they did is not their original thinking. In fact, they might be strong in muscle and money, but intellectually they are very deprived. They carried what the British gave it to them. This is how you are a different race. Your language is different. This year, on this Republic Day, Raj Bhavan published an invitation card. We say, Kudiyarisu Dinam. Somebody comes and says, Sir, Dinam is not a Tamil word. It is not a Tamil word. I say, is it so? No, sir. Then, why we have Dinakaran, Dinamani, Dinatandi, Dinamara? We every day say Dinamum. Why? Why this hatred? And then the people say, we are not Indian, India is not a nation. Somebody says, Indians are Africans. Somebody says Chinese, Arabians. Now this is a very dangerous thought. This is a highly divisive. We need to bring the truth out to the people. We need hundreds of researchers. One Jagannath is not enough. They need many, because a story of such a large number of people over a century and a half is not a joke. Every aspect of it needs to be studied, needs to be researched. And the good thing is The sad thing is that this has faded from our memory. We don't remember. In fact, I'm not surprised because in the curriculum we don't have it. So all our young people under the age of 50, they do not know Bharat here because they have not been told in their schools, in their colleges. It is not there. Especially in colleges, it is not there. Even though it has faded from our memory, we might have forgotten the numerous freedom fighters and the martyrs who gave their life. But the good thing is, or the saving grace is, that the documents are available. All that we need to do is commit ourselves, dig up those documents, do the study, do the research, publish it for the sake of. It cannot be erased, and we must do it. Because at a stake is the integrity of the nation. At a stake is the identity of a people. Who are Tamil people? The whole denial of the history that you are not, you are a different race, your gods are different, your language is different, you have nothing to do with the rest. This fabricated false ideology which self-life is long over is a very, very dangerous. It can only be countered with a genuine research. And it will not happen for some more time from our universities. It has to be done by people outside. It has to be done by our institutions like Center for South Indian Studies and others who have to do it. I like to congratulate Advocate Jagannathan for his work. If you read the book, I feel that way, that it will inspire you to do some work, to know more about it, because it is a catalyst. It is not just a compendium of documents and facts, but by going through it, it will provoke you. It will pique your interest to know more. And I am sure some of the readers would take up the work of doing further research also. That would be a great service to our people, to our civilization, to our culture, to our nation. Thank you very much once again. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the thought-provoking and awakening speech. Pranams to our Honorable Governor for the wonderful words of wisdom with patriotic fervor. Swarajya Desam was the dream of our ancestors. Akhanda Bharatam is our present vision. May our Bharata Mata shower her blessings on all of us to live happily in this divine nation with unity and prosperity. Now, I call upon Sri Aravind Devanathan, Research Associate, Center for South Indian Studies, to deliver oath of thanks.
Distinguished guests, dignitaries and esteemed audience. As we come to the close of this memorable event, it is my honor and privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of Center for South Indian Studies. Firstly, I would express our humble and deep gratitude to our chief guest, Thiru R. Ravi Avargal, Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, sir, for gracing this event and for your invaluable support. I extend my thanks to the guest of honor, Honorable Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court, Thiru S. Vaidyanathan Avargal. We are deeply honored by your presence, sir. To Dasari Ramohan Rao, South India Convener of Teluga Balija Kappu Joint Action Committee, we are grateful for your attendance and support, sir. Our thanks to Advocate B. Jagannath, the esteemed author of the book. Your dedication and scholarship in bringing to the light the life and legacy of such a significant figure in our history is truly inspiring. Your book will undoubtedly serve as an invaluable resource for generations to come. We also wish to thank the publishers Samit Prakashan and Media Private Limited and Madhav Mudra Press for their meticulous effort in bringing this book to fruition. We extend our gratitude to all the judges who have graced this occasion with their presence. Special thanks to T.N. Rajarathinam Pillai Kalayarangam for providing us with this excellent venue. We are also grateful to the media houses, both digital and print, for their extensive coverage and support in bringing this event to a wider audience. Our sincere thanks to the police department for providing us with the necessary security arrangement and ensuring the smooth conduct of this function. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the distinguished guests and audience members for your gracious presence. Your participation and enthusiasm have made this event a great success. Once again, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
I request you all to raise for the national anthem.
मनगदिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जाहे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे